What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Chat with Dan. For today, we spoke with Hayley. She's an incredible actress. Hope you like this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. Hayley, welcome to the show. It's incredible. It's amazing. It's super cool to have you here. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I mean, what better way, right? What better way to continue to have a really super smooth, chilling, awesome day with someone as awesome as you? You know what I mean?
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. When you reached out to me on Instagram, actually, it was I'm going through a lot of hard things right now, and it was kind of like the universe again, like always
Yeah.
answers you when you're going through a hard time. And it was just like a wow, like thank you. I'm being acknowledged for my hard work, and it's just something that I think I really needed right now.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm happy that this can help, and yeah, I mean, at the end, I do think that that actors, musicians, the fact that you guys are showing us that dreams can come true. I mean, but of course, there's a lot of hard work behind. But basically, you're showing us that everything's possible, and I think that every story needs to be told. Because who knows, maybe after this chat, someone could get inspired, or someone can totally feel relate and be like, I could totally understand that, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So yeah, as I've been saying, welcome to the show. It's epic to have you here, and jumping straight to the interview. Let's go back in time here a little bit and tell me where the journey begins, where this passion started.
Okay, yeah, I have a good entrance story for it. I was in grade school, and we were studying a play in the little language textbooks that you have when you're in English class.
Yeah.
And there was a play we were studying called Every Day is Earth Day, um, and it was kind of a Christmas Carol spinoff
Mm.
about a woman named Francine Scrounge, spinning off Scrooge, um, who has a big corporation, and she pollutes the environment. And throughout the course of the play, a bunch of animals appear to her and tell her how she's polluting the environment, and then she changes her initiative. So the the teacher, I remember, was going around and she was casting all of the characters, and she got to Francine Scrounge, who was the lead, and she said, okay, who would like to play Francine? And no one raised their hand. And there was a moment inside of me, that moment where you connect to something really deep that speaks to you and says, raise your hand, you're meant for this. And I raised my hand without thinking about it, and I was cast as Francine. And I went home. I told my mom, I said, I think I made a huge mistake. I don't know how I'm going to memorize all these lines.
Yeah.
There's monologues of speech. And she said, if anyone can do it, it's you. And ever since then, it bit me. It got me, and I've been chasing it since I was in grade 7.
I love it. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that is a really good intro indeed. I love it. And so time went by, but tell me, what were some of the challenges that you had when you were, like making your first steps in your acting career? What were those first challenges that you had?
Well, I remember after I got the bug and I realized that this is what I wanted to do, I was going into high school at the time. And I struggled a lot with being bullied because I wasn't like other girls. I was, a little tomboyish. I was a little boyish. I hung out with the boys. I wasn't like girly girls. I wasn't like the sporty girls. So already I was a little outcast. And I remember the first play I auditioned for, I didn't get in. And it was just heartbreaking, because I had so much of my ego praised in grade school that I should continue learning theater. So I didn't get in. But when I was in grade 10, I finally did get in. And there was a boy in the class who I always felt was out to get me. I don't know what it was. Maybe there was like a competitive spirit or something between us. But congruently with the grade 10 educations, a big theater company was touring a bunch of high schools, and they were auditioning high school students for 42nd Street, the musical that was going to be put up at the Center in the Square, which was our regional theater in Kitchener, Ontario. And I remember I was talking to him and he said, "Oh, are you auditioning for the 10th grade play?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, you'll probably get in because all of the talented actors are with 42nd Street." And for as long as I live, I will never forget that,
Mm.
because ever since he told me that I was untalented without saying it, um, it put a fire in me to say, I'll prove you wrong. Like, I'll go far to prove you wrong.
Totally.
And I think that you need that in this industry because you can't be weak. You have to be a fighter. You're going to get a million no's in your lifetime before you get one yes. You're going to get a million people telling you that you can't do this. And there's also going to be a million people telling you that you're not good enough, and a million people who are ahead of you, and a million people behind you. But the most important thing I've learned is that you have to keep your eye on your own journey.
Mm.
Your growth and your path is so much different than anybody else's. And everybody has their own path, but they've trailblazed it their own way. And that's kind of where that fire in me started, where whenever I felt like somebody was rejecting me, I fought back with passion.
Mm.
And I think that comes from being bullied, because when you're bullied, eventually you start retaliating. And instead of retaliating in a negative way, I fueled that into my craft to get better, to get recognizable, to be different, to stand out. So that was one of the major challenges I faced in high school. And then when I would move on to university, I was auditioning for universities that were going around my school as really good theater universities. One of them was Ryerson in Toronto, and the other was York University in Toronto. And everybody in my high school, all my drama teachers would always be ranting and raving about the Ryerson theater program. And I went to audition, and I didn't get in. So, I was back in Kitchener. I was doing an opening night in the Kitchener Waterloo Little Theater, which was where I did a lot of my training in my younger days. I was opening the show for The Odd Couple by Neil Simon, and I was playing Cecily Pigeon. And I had to go on stage, and I had to be bubbly and happy and excited. And before I went on, I read my rejection email from Ryerson. And I couldn't wield my tears and my sadness and my rejection in my performance. So I had to go in the complete opposite direction and wield something that I wasn't feeling. And when I reflect on that now, I think about how strong I've become at compartmentalizing my emotional states. That in a professional environment, no matter what's going on in my personal life, I have to show up, I have to do the work, and I have to do it well. And I have to put that behind me, whatever's happening, so I can focus in the space. And that has made me grow as a person and as an actor. I didn't get into Ryerson, but I did get into York University, which I thought, well, here it is, second best again. I'm always second best. I'm never number one. And I went into York, and it turned out to be one of the most best experiences of my life. They always say when one door closes, another opens. That's entirely true. You never know what's on your journey. You just have to accept the doors as they open. When I went to York, I really spread my wings. It was my first time being on my own. It was my first time living on my own. It was the first time moving out of my mom's place. I was going to be supporting myself. I was going to be doing my own laundry, doing, the stuff you go through in your early 20s. And I ended up auditioning again for an acting conservatory in my second year. First year was like a general introduction. And I didn't get in. I didn't get in again. I was like, you know what? I'm on the verge of fuck this. I'm like, no one sees me. Like, no one sees what I can do. No one sees my talent, and I'm not being recognized for it. And I don't understand what's going on with me. So I ended up going and studying into device theater and design, which is actually device theater is like collective creation. You learn how to make theater as an ensemble, and you learn how to bring it to full production, a full production with full production elements. So in fact, it was such a blessing because I became my own theater maker. I became my own entrepreneur, and I know how to go out there, and I know how to market myself, and I know how to spin a product, and I know how to get into theater festivals. And congruently with that, I was studying design. So which I'm naturally gifted in. So, I was learning, like, I was up into the studio at 3, 4 in the morning, sometimes sleeping there overnight, building scale models. And then the next day I'll be going to rehearsal for my devised theater show. You know what I mean? Like writing grants for shows, learning how to do budgets. Like I was doing a multifaceted thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Auditioned for the acting conservatory again and didn't
Wow.
get in a second time.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing. And when I graduate, I'm going to keep taking acting classes. I'm just going to keep doing it. And when I graduated university, that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to start submitting myself to backstage.com, mandy.com,
Mm.
all like the short film groups, do some stuff for free, get out there. And that's what I did. Because I was so self-motivated and I had to pull myself already through so much rejection, I found no problem carrying on, even though self-doubt can bring you down sometimes. But you learn how to do things yourself. I learned how to edit my own demo reel. I learned how to like do my own headshots. Like I got like a friend of mine to do them, or I did them in my kitchen, or I figured it out. You know what I mean? It's like stuff you do when you're starting out.
Totally.
And from that, like my demos, I got an agent, and then I started auditioning. Was found out I was with a crap agent. Then I went and switched over to another one. At this point, I had met friends on set because I was starting to work on my friends' films.
Yeah.
I was starting to work as a production designer. I was starting, for like $300 for a weekend of 12-hour day work. And then I started doing like costuming for my friends' films. So I was meeting film people. And that's how I met my friend Brian, who submitted me to his agent, Terry.
Mm.
And ever since I've been with Terry. And then with her, that's how I booked Schitt's Creek. That's how I booked The Expanse. That's how I booked In the Dark. And the rest is history. Like it just came. All of a sudden, things were happening for me. And
Absolutely.
meanwhile, to supplement my income, I was working as a personal assistant for Broadway actress Tova Felchu. I worked with her for many years. She's still a really good friend of mine. I was working for her a lot virtually to supplement my income. And then as my film experience grew on the crew side, I started production designing feature films, TV shows, music videos, anything you name it. Um, and then soon after that, I joined the union, and now I'm working on the big stuff. So it's just been
Wow.
like a uphill journey,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but I started from nothing, literally nothing.
So basically, starting from the bottom, now we're here.
The bottom.
I love it. I love that
And then when
story.
COVID hit, I was like, well, nothing's happening. No one's producing any films. No one's working on set. Like, film became an essential service very quickly.
Mm.
In about 2 months, people were back on set in Canada. But I wasn't working as an actor at all. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna go to New York and I'm gonna train because that's something I've wanted to do my whole life. And I finally had the guts to do it because I had things on my resume that made me feel like I was worthy for this city and worthy for the school I was applying for. But I realized that as soon as I got here, that was just a narrative I told myself
Mm.
because I'm in class with people who are in their early 20s, some of them even 19,
Yeah.
and I'm going like, why couldn't I ever get myself here when I was in my 20s? And it's just fear. It's all fear based. You can't listen to that stuff. Money
Mm.
will come. Yeah, sure. When I graduated university, I had to pay off my credit cards and stuff like that. And that took time to balance out my books and get the money to come here, find the
Totally.
support. But, if your door opens, find a way. I was seeing someone in New York from Canada. So when I was dating this person, I was like, hey, why don't we move in together and consummate it? And that was my door opening right there. It's
I
like,
love it. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I love the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. It was just like,
Wow.
you know, I mean, I didn't plan it. Like,
Yeah,
oh, sorry,
absolutely.
I'm in a stairwell, so I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
It's okay. I understand. No problem.
This is the only quiet place I could find.
It's okay. Don't worry. I get it. I get it.
um, oh my god. Oh
That's okay.
hey, hi, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, it's my classmates.
Don't worry. No
But
worries. I mean,
yeah,
yeah. Don't worry. No worries.
yeah. So I was gonna say something. Yeah, I mean, when I met this person, I actually met them through playing Smash online.
So
You
cool.
know,
Okay.
I fell in love with this guy I started playing Smash with because you know you get close in you game, you get close,
Mm.
and I met him, and I didn't know he was from New York when I met him, but
So cool.
there it was, and I said, hey, like if this works out, like I'm gonna move there, and he said, yeah, let's do it. And then the applications to go to school just came into my mind. I'm like, why shouldn't I do this? It'll help me
Totally.
stay here longer.
Totally.
And I always think education is the way into any country. Like if you're trying to get in, go to school because that's how you network. That's how you meet people,
Mm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was at York, that's how I met other film people. That's how I met my professors who got me jobs and I graduated, right? Like be a good student, you know? This goes into like the advice question that you were giving me, but like being a good student is probably the best advice I could ever give somebody because if you're a good student, your professors are people who know other people and they will
Mm.
always be recommending you to other jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
That's true. That's true. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speechless. I love it. I mean, I mean, yeah, it's amazing. It's, I mean, like such a journey, and the fact that you have, yeah, that you have been through a lot, and no matter what, you managed to continue. You know, because like the fact, like for example, I mean, I was bullied too back in, I think primary, yeah, like wow, like primary school, whatever. But my point here is that what gets my attention is the fact that all of that all of that sadness and all of those bad vibes, basically, you manage to transform it into something positive, you know, because at the end, I mean, when you build when you're bullied, I mean, all you want to do is to be with people, you know, and the fact that they will treat you
Mhm.
as an outcast, or like put you away for, I don't know, your looks, your culture, language, whatever, you know, like there's million reasons here, but
Mhm.
the fact that you managed to put all of that bad, all of those negative thoughts and create it into something positive. I mean, that's amazing, because we all know that it takes a lot of courage to focus that energy into something positive, and you made
Yeah.
it happen. I mean, as I said before, like starting from the bottom now, starting from the bottom, now we're here, because it's amazing all of the journey that you are creating, and it's super inspirational. I love it. It's perfect. Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's just the skim of it, you know? That's just
Yeah,
the top of it. Like I feel like my whole fucking life has been a struggle, you know? Like
absolutely.
it's just like I have a bad family life and,
Mm,
you know, I have like a really tumultuous relationship with my mother that was up and down throughout my entire life, and she would support me and then she'd rip it away and then she'd support me and then she'd rip it away and then and I'd feel abandoned a lot by my mother. And, when I got older and I didn't have to rely on her anymore, that's when I started speaking back and standing up for myself that
totally.
there's something about my home that doesn't feel right, you know? And I'm very, independent and a lone wolf in that way because I don't have the backup of family to help me. I have to get through everything by myself and by my own means and with the help of great friends. That's always been my life, is just my friends in my life helping me out when I've had literally nothing,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end, allies are essential, you know, are
they are.
essential. And the fact that you found, yeah, that you found that support, through really awesome friends. I mean, I'm sure they are. It's pretty cool. It's amazing. And tough because I can understand whenever you are kind of in this blown path that it feels horrible. You know, the fact that you can't really rely on someone, that even sometimes
Yeah.
you will feel backstabbed by your own family. You know, that the persons that you should feel super comfortable and knowing that nothing bad is gonna happen, and to sometimes have to deal with things like that. I mean, it does get tough, but at the same time, I do think that that helps you build character. You know, that helps you
Yeah.
uh to kind of create tough skin. You know, and to kind of be like have like more resilience. You know, and to be also like to have like more control on your emotions. You know what I mean? I mean, someone
Hmm.
once told me that when someone says something bad to you, either a bad review, bad comment, or they like something bad to you, that thing is like a rock. Now you can
Hmm.
pick up that rock, or you can just kick it away and just keep going. You know?
Yeah, that's a really good metaphor, actually. I
Yeah,
want to adopt that because, yeah, you could pick up the rock and you could throw it back, and then you end up doing more damage to each other than ever was before. And
absolutely.
man, that's a hard lesson. That's a
Yeah,
hard lesson.
yeah, absolutely. It is because I mean, as I say here, the fact that, and I think that happens whenever you are like when you're like on the process of having like an idea, or like create something new. What I find amazing about actors, for example, musicians, is the fact that you guys go basically through hell. The fact that you will go through
Yeah.
so many rejections. I mean, nobody likes to be rejected, come on. But the fact that you go through so many rejections, through so many financial problems, as you mentioned. I mean, it's
Yeah.
way different that to have like stable job, and that by the end of the week or by the end of the month you will get paid and problem solved. And as an actor, you will have like probably one project, and then you won't receive any income until 6 months or things like that. So I
Yeah.
can understand how crazy and how desperate it might be, besides all the glamour and fame that some people might think. That there's a whole other thing backstage, that once you know a little bit about it, you're like, oh, okay, you know?
That's why a lot of people back out because they realize that it's not just you don't just fucking go on one audition and all of a sudden you're recognized. Like, it doesn't happen like that. There's hundreds and thousands and millions of actors, and it
Totally.
takes craft to get good at it and to get recognized by it with it, and a lot of people don't realize how much discipline it takes to be an actor. Like, especially when I came here at Stella Adler, like, I've learned the discipline of an actor like never before. Like, the things that I have to do every day to keep my voice alive, to keep my instrument open and trained, to keep my vowels open so I'm always in a place of receiving. You know what I mean? Like, that is a skill in and of itself. Like, having the discipline to, like, instead of going out, I'm going to choose to drill my lines tonight because I have a shit ton of performances next week, like, and I have to know my lines left, right, and center. Like, that takes energy. Like, being vulnerable takes energy. Like, I get home from the end of my day at school and I'm just like, I don't even want to talk to anybody because I'm just so emotionally, physically, and spiritually exhausted.
Yeah, no, yeah, I can understand that. I can definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one time I decided to have 12 interviews in one day, and I promised myself after that day that I'm never gonna do that again, because even though that, yeah, I'm sitting with a microphone, chilling, all like that, it's super, it's mentally it's super exhausting, because of the whole paying attention to it, and to have like conversation, everything. It gets into a moment in which you're like exhausted, in which you're like, I don't want to talk. You just want to like disconnect
Hmm.
and just go to sleep or watch a film and just stay quiet and be like, it was super amazing, of course, don't get me wrong. But like what I ended up also discovering is that besides working on your craft, you need to also work on yourself, on your mental and physical self. You need to take care of yourself,
Yep.
because you're like the
Hmm.
machine that makes that
Hmm.
happen. If the machine is not working well, you're not going to be able to perform well. So it's all like a
Oh,
circle.
yeah. They talk about that a lot here at Stella Adler, that being like, your work as a human being and your work as an actor are synonymous and they grow together. And it's very, very true because to get through this program, I have to eat very, very well. You know, like I have to put myself on a schedule. I have to be organized. I have to feel my boundaries when I know I'm like pushing too hard to do something. Like, okay, when do I take a step back? You know, like, and take care of my own mental health and my own state of being, or like my physical health. Like,
Totally.
you have to consider those things and it all goes into balance. Or like, when do I have time for a relationship? And if I do, how do I make time for my partner? Like, you have to balance everything all at once, and it's very difficult because of the kind of hours that we have to commit to our craft and to our work, and
Totally.
it's not understood by the civilian what we do because it's too ethereal.
Mm, true. True. And also I think that is also caused by like the, yeah, I mean I would, yeah, like the whole media that they portray this image that acting is nothing, it's all but it's fame, glory, go to amazing parties, go to amazing places, have a yacht, a plane, things like that, like all of that fashion, like all the fashion and things like that, which yeah, it does, but at the same time there's much behind of it that once you get a little taste of it, or even if you heard about it, you get a chance to see actors more like, as I said, like human beings. At the end of the day, we're basically the same. So that is one of the things that I ended up discovering, that there is much behind of that sometimes we the audience don't, because at the end of the day, we the audience, we just see the final product. We don't know anything about the actor or what it took
Right.
to get that shot done, or the problems they could have on the producing side, all of that. I mean, we just watch the final product and that's it. But once we get the chance to know a bit about it, we get the chance to see the final product in a totally different way. But like once you know what happened in behind the scenes, or more about this actor, you could be like, oh, I get it now. You receive the film, or you receive the product, and you totally see it in a totally different way. And I found that pretty amazing.
Yeah, even just as a person who used to watch behind the scenes stuff, it doesn't even compare to
Yeah,
doing it. Like, I
absolutely.
work as a props and sets technician. I've worked on anything from a budget of $1,000 to $100 million. You know what I mean? And
Totally.
like, it's just like being on set behind the scenes, like you have no idea the manpower it takes just to get one shot. And then when we're turning the world around, like we have to move the camera, we have to flip the lights, you know what I mean? We have to get the right props. Like, we have to have the props prepared for that week, so they had to have been bought in advance. Like, things have to be done ahead of schedule of camera, and like everyone is always serving camera all the time. So it's like we are constantly working around like these greater cogs in this big machine, and if one person drops the ball, then the ball gets dropped on multiple departments. You know what I mean? So
Totally.
it's like, it's hard that everyone has to be on their A game, but the hours don't always lend itself to being on your A game.
Absolutely.
I've
Absolutely.
worked on set where I've worked fucking an 18-hour day, and I'm like fucking dying by the end of it. And then I have to be on set the next day for 6 in the morning. And it's like, I can't even think straight right now. Like, how
Yeah.
am I even driving a truck to work? And like, then that's when mistakes happen. But then when I work on sets where, like, especially during COVID, this was happening. I worked on a set that was all green screen, and all I had to do was show up at the studio and do an 8-hour day. And it was so easy. And it was probably some of the best work I've ever done, because
Totally.
I could think, I slept, I was well fed on set. Like, the machine was just working properly, and no one was overstressed. No one was tired and complaining. And like, the way you treat your crew goes a long way for the product. It goes a long way, because if you're being treated well, then you're treating the actors well, then the actors can do their best performance, and then that's what you see on the screen, right? So it's just like, the littlest things can make a huge difference, and that starts at like not forcing crew to work ridiculous hours. And that's
Mm,
why the union has been on strike multiple times, because
totally.
of these kind of working conditions.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
advocate for that. I'm a
Yeah.
big
Absolutely.
advocate for
I mean,
that.
at the end of the day, what I've been saying, I mean, we're just humans. We're not machines. And
Yeah.
and if someone gets pushed into the limits, either working, as you mentioned, like 18 hours. I mean, I can imagine that. I mean, I would have been disconnected by that 12 hour and be like, I'm just gonna be automatic now and just don't think, just do things and not, like, you know what I mean? That it does get exhausting. So the fact that as I said, like there's so many things behind the scenes that we just don't know about, and I find very, very cool the fact that that like the whole project gets terminated and you show us the product, like the whole film, TV show, or I find that pretty cool. And I find like entertainment itself pretty interesting. And also uh going back here a little bit with what you mentioned about the whole working extra hours, I mean that they should definitely be focusing more on the person, because as you mentioned, if you keep someone happy, he's going to perform at his 100% always, but if you keep it like on a 50 or 40%, I mean, he's just gonna basically like perform just because, and that's it. Not gonna be able like to give that extra. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's usually about like, it comes all from producers, like bottlenecking pay, and like, or they've decided to film a project that they can't afford to film.
totally.
But they're so married to that idea of making the film, and they're making their baby come true, that like they just use and abuse people like they're
Yeah.
disposable. And when you're on a gig, you can't just go, I quit, like, unless the working conditions are extraneous and you just say I'm walking off, which I've done before.
Mm.
um but not something I do often. I did that once.
Yeah.
And it was just like, like you hit a limit where you're just like, I'm not being fairly paid for this, I'm not being paid overtime for this, like, and there's a lot of exploitation around like people who are go fresh out of film school and want to get experience. Like, indie producers will exploit you for that.
Mm.
And say, well, I can pay them 250 a day, and they have to work, 13 plus hours, but they're just like a film student graduate, so it's fine. It's like, that's kind of like the industry standard.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
that's really sad that you have to earn your stripes taking bullshit like that. But that's the reality. And a lot has to change and a lot won't. But, we have to start somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
That's why we
Yes.
unionize. That's why we unionized in the film industry, because
Mm.
of this shit. But it still finds a way to work underground, for people to get opportunities.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it has, yeah. I mean, as I said, I'm speechless right now. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, there was one time I was working on a set as an art director, and I wasn't even an art director. I was really an on set. But that's also the thing in indie filmmaking world, is that they truncate titles.
Mm.
So you're doing like more work for, like, you're covering three people's titles, but you're only getting paid for one position. Very common thing in the film industry and indie film industry. So I was an art director who traditionally does a lot of like coordination. They do graphics, they work with graphic designers, they work with budgets, expense reports, all that stuff. Very accounting, very desk work. What I actually was doing was an on-set props person and an on-set dresser, which, they're on set, they dress the set for camera, and then they leave and dress the next set for the next location. And same with props, right? I was basically doing that position, and the project got canceled during COVID. So I said, "Oh my God, thank God, I don't want to do this anymore." And then they came back saying, "Hey, we want the same crew for this shoot happening in October. We're going to do French hours." Now, do you know what French hours are?
No, please explain me. What is French hours?
Okay, so French hours in the film industry is a terminology for a set that's only 10 hours long. So they can't go over 10 hours. But in exchange for that, you don't get a lunch break, and you don't get to sit down and eat your lunch for an hour. So you're literally just like, for 10 hours, you're working straight, you're taking food from craft, You're eating on set, you're eating your lunch on set as you have time, pockets of time to like sit and eat, right? So it's like, okay, deal. You don't give me a break, I'll work for 10 hours, right? So of course, what happens, right? We get to the 10th hour and we're not even close to finishing the call sheet. We're not even close to the last shot. 11th hour, we move over to 11th hour, and I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, I'm only getting paid $200 for this day, and I'm losing money as the day goes on. You know, at the 12th hour, I sat down and I said, I'm sorry, I'm not working anymore. I just said no, because I'm not, you know, like, I'm better than this. Totally. I deserve more than this. Like, I'm already doing you a huge favor by taking $200 for this gig, and I'm already an experienced film person. At this point, I'm doing you a favor, and you can't even respect the rules that you laid in place to get me to come back. I just said, no, I'm done. And I didn't come back for the final day, and I didn't care.
That's fucked up. Yeah, that's messed up. As I said, I mean, I do think that there's a lot of, like a lot of conversation regarding those topics that needs to be told, you know? I mean, even though that, yes, with the whole union strike and everything, I mean, but still, I do think that there's so much things that needs to be talked, you know, in order to say one day there's finally like a change, you know? I do think that there's a huge conversation going that needs to be told. So
absolutely, I really think that the whole film industry needs an overhaul with how things are filmed. If you don't have the money to film a feature in 13 days, you should not force your crew to work 15-hour days for $300 a day. You just should not do that. You should not be filming that project. Either the production house needs to dish out more money, or you figure out a better schedule. You know what I mean? Like, but you can't have both. You can't labor people like this. You know, it's not fair expectations, and then get angry at your crew for giving up and giving you flack. Like, you know, this is like kind of you know, the Woodstock 99 documentary. You know, have you ever watched that? It's a prime example of what happens on set. Because you know, in Woodstock 99, like, not only were the music lineups, they were just completely different than 69, but like, they were overcharging people for basic necessities, food and water. Like, a bottle of water was like $15 or something, and back in 99, that was like $25.
Yeah, it was a lot.
You know what I mean? Wow. And like, people started getting mad, and they started revolting. Like, the facilities weren't working. Like, the outhouses were clogged up. There was shit everywhere, you know? And like, they weren't properly supported. It was a money grab. And when things become corporate like that, that's when it loses its soul. And people, they fight against, and that's why those mobs happened. And you know, like, that's how strikes happen. It's just, you know, people get sick and tired of being treated unfairly, and then they wonder why you fight back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just, I understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, yeah, there's a lot more a lot more going on here that we just, like, we the audience, we just don't know about, you know? So but I do think also that the audience should know about that as well, you know, so they can treat films way different, you know, because one of the things that I do hate is that whenever a film, right, maybe someone didn't like it, but what I find pretty unfair is to go after the actor, you know, and you'll be like, why? I mean, he or she did the job. I mean, they're hired to do a job, they did it, you know. And there's so many things. Maybe the script was wrong, maybe the soundtrack was wrong, the editing was, I mean, there's so many other factors around, and that I find pretty bad, that when a film is not good, you know, for some people, they will go after the actor and trying to, you know, destroy their career and be like, oh, this guy's trash and things like that. So I do think that we, the audience, should know more about all of that stuff that happened behind, and perhaps we can be like more, what's the word of it, like more, have like more conscious of it, you know, and be like, at the end of the day, it's their job. You know, they're being professionals to it. You know, it's so it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, like that brings up a lot of feelings that I had when, Alec Baldwin accidentally shot that DOP. I forget what her name was, but that was going all around the news,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like a
yeah.
lot of people were like, "Oh, well, this is Alec Baldwin's fault." No, it's like it comes from such a lack of education on like what was actually going on that film set. Like, first of all, like the fact that like I think the props master was handling the guns, like that's like a separate thing into itself. Like typically when there isn't a gun wrangler on set, props does handle guns, you know? But like for it to be a loaded barrel as well on top of that, it just tells me that the set was rushed. Like for a props master to make that mistake of like handing over a gun without checking it means that someone was being pushed and they couldn't do their job properly, because we would never make that mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also that there wasn't a gun wrangler on set. Separately doing that department tells me a lot too. It tells me that they were cutting costs because they didn't want to pay a fucking gun wrangler. Like, we're dealing with loaded barrels.
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's no joke.
Totally.
And nor should we ever have those on set anyways. So it's just like, that is not Alex Baldwin's fault. When he's handed the gun, he's worried about his performance. He's worried about how he's going to sell it. He's worried about everything that he's worried about his light. He's worried about, his shot.
Yeah,
He's
his
worried
job
about
basically.
like, okay, do I remember like do I remember how to shoot a gun? Like going over the blocking last minute. Like he's doing all of this stuff all at once, and like you blame him for that? No, like it was a product of the film and the way that it was being made, and probably the financial constraints they had to do their jobs properly. It always is. Always.
I love it.
Yeah,
Wow.
shady shit goes on and it
Yeah,
never gets
absolutely.
talked about. And all you see is the final product. And I can deduct that because of how many times I've been on set and I've seen stuff go wrong. Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, Hayley, what can I
Everyone's always
say?
trying to rush
Yeah,
the
as I said,
dollar.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's really messed up. And yeah, I mean, yeah, when I heard that news, I was also like thinking the same thing. Like, wait a minute. I mean, isn't a person kind of like in charge of it? You know, I don't think like you just grab a gun and be like, okay, let's shoot. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's
No.
a whole process behind it. So yeah, there's like this thing in which I'm like, aren't we like there's somebody's I would assume that checks that, you know, and especially when as you mentioned, when guns are involved, you know, weapons and things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah. Yeah.
And I think that you heard that the safety announcement was bypassed. I believe I remember that, which
Hmm.
was also bad, really scary. Because whenever a gun is brought on set, the first AD always has to do a safety announcement over the walkie. Hello, everyone. Can I get your attention? We're bringing a weapon on set. It is not a real weapon. It does not fire real barrels. I'm doing a test right now to the ground to show you that it doesn't, it doesn't fire real barrels. These are fakes, blah, blah, blah. Like you do a demonstration with the crew so they know what's happening. And the fact that the gun was just shoved in Alec Baldwin's hand, there's a trust there between your crew and the actor, that the actor takes the prop and they do their performance with it. That's trust, right? There has to be that trust with your crew. And the fact that you know, what happened was a matter of being rushed. It's the only thing that makes sense to me,
Totally.
because things were essential were skipped that should never have been skipped.
Totally. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's messed up. It's messed up. Totally.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But I mean, yeah, as I said before, yeah, I'm blown away with all of this. But yeah, it's true. I mean, it's crazy what happens like behind of it. But hey, at the end of the day, what can I say, Haley? I mean, the fact that you love it, you know, that you're putting like so much passion. I mean, I love your vibe. I love like how you explain all of that, because it clearly says to me, to those who are watching this or listening to it, the fact that you put a lot of passion to a lot of love to it, and that's amazing, because you do what makes you happy, and as easy as it may sound, as we've been saying before, it takes a lot of courage, and you made that happen. You've been through a very tough journey, but still, you're still hanging. You're still doing it. You're still making things done. I mean, basically, that's badass. What can I say?
Thank you so much. Honestly, it
Yeah,
didn't come without its troubles and sacrifices.
but here you are, so
You
that's
know,
amazing.
here I am. Here I am, baby. And I got the receipts. It's a dream. I wake up here, and no matter what's happening in my personal life right now, I wake up here every fucking day blessed
There
and
you go.
happy.
There you
And
go.
when you find that thing in your life where you wake up and go, there isn't anywhere else I'd rather be but here, that's when you know you're on the right path, because you feel it in your heart. You know,
Mm, mm,
when you wake up every day and you dread going to work, listen to your body. Your body tells you things. Your body knows sometimes more than you think.
totally.
So, I wake up every day and my body goes, you know what? I have like $50 in my bank account right now, and I don't know how I'm going to get through the next week, but god damn it, am I happy.
There you go. Mm. I mean, as every day above ground is a great day.
Exactly.
There you go. I love it. I love what you do.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you do, Hayley. Keep inspiring, because I'm super sure that besides creating it and besides being a super talented, badass person, you also inspire. And I'm super sure there's hundreds of people out there who support you, who love what you do, and who are definitely are inspired by the whole by your whole epicness. Basically, I love it. I love it. Keep what you do. And also, I want to thank those who watch this video. Thank you so much for watching it. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, make sure to go follow Hayley like right now. The video's over, so I'm gonna leave in the description below her social media so you can follow her. Let's make her viral. I mean, hashtag Team Hayley, because she's amazing. And Hayley, again, thank you so much for making this happen. Keep killing it. Keep doing what you do. As I said, it's amazing. I love it, and I'm super sure that a lot of epicness and a lot of great stuff are coming to your door, right next to the corner, because I do think that good things happen to people who are honest, to people who are honest in what they do, and you are. I love it, and yeah, keep killing it.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for having me. It's a serious pleasure.
Absolutely, always. I mean, the stage will be. I mean, my platform is always here at your disposal. Remember that, and I'll see you in the next one.
And I'll invite you to my show.
Yeah, I'll be glad to go. Can't count on it. All right. Have a good
Thank
one.
you so
Okay.
much for having me. Have a good one.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.
And well, that's it for today. Hope you liked this episode. Again, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.